Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I guess I have an apology to make to you all after leaving you all to fend for yourselves and a lack of podcast episodes for your listening pleasure on your commute over the last few days. The truth is, I've been hanging out in Colorado. I started by hosting a workshop on how to get up and running and create your own podcast at the No Longer Virtual event in Denver. The event was a huge success and I came away learning so much from so many talented people. So I do urge you to check out that event for more info. But hey, you don't want to listen to my ramblings. You came here for a show, right? When was your first job? For a large majority of our teens today, they're not working. And there's been a decline of 30% over the last 40 years due to extracurricular activities such as sports, music, tutoring, homework, and the list goes on and on. But enter Skratch, a mobile demand-based platform founded by the father of two teenage daughters. The platform connects Dallas teens with gigs in their neighbourhood, ranging from dog walking and sports mentors to holiday gift wrapper, garage organisers or mother's helpers. Serviced by an app for iPhone, teens can actually sign up, select a gig and accept it whenever their schedule allows, just like an Uber driver would. Meanwhile, neighbours are starting to connect once again and checking off their to-do list with the help of that teen next door. I think it's a great story, but before I reveal too much, let's get Scott on the show today to find out more. So buckle up, hold on tight, as I beam your ears all the way to Dallas so we can speak with Scott Bennett, co-founder and CEO of Skratch. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
So thanks, Neil, for having me. My name is Scott Bennett, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of a mobile platform called Skratch based in Dallas, Texas. And we are aiming to address a very negative trend that has been 40 years in the making, which is the disappearance of teenagers participating in the workforce. And Skratch, the platform we've developed, we see as the connective tissue for the future of how teens will become available to do work. They're simply not working, and we wanted to address the problem. And so we built a mobile app platform with an application at the center of it to address it.
I've read a lot about you guys recently. I think it's a fantastic concept. But for anyone that's tuning in now and hearing about you guys for the very first time, can you just set the scene and let the listeners visualise exactly what Skratch is and what problems it solves?
Yeah, so you're seeing a trend really the last 10 years since the iPhone and of course the Android devices have become so pervasive in society. You're seeing a lot of what I call push button or demand economy businesses that have come to be simply because they simplify a connection, really. I like to talk about it that these devices replace dispatch capabilities, taking away a layer of friction. Our platform, Skratch, was built simply because my partner, Ronan Akiva, and I had a problem. We both were raising kids. We both grew up working. And we wanted to build a platform that met teenagers ages 14 through 20 where they are today. I'm a father of two girls, 16 and 13, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners understand and can appreciate that teens spend 9 hours on their mobile devices. They frankly discover their world through their devices. Schools are encouraging them to bring devices. So we just thought, with this major decline of teens working, wouldn't it be great to build a platform like there are so many other things that allows teenagers to opt in with skills that they have, so they self-select things that they would be good at and want to do, and then make that available to seekers of their services on the other side and connect them together in a safe way to provide those services in exchange for money and first work.
So what was the story behind Skratch? Where did that idea come from? And then what made you want to take that concept and make it a reality? Was it anything to do with your teenage daughters and your life as a father and looking back to how you were brought up? Or was it something completely different?
Well, it's interesting. Two things really happened. The first is that for 4 years previous to starting the business, both my wife and I had, active careers. I traveled a lot for work, and we needed extra hands to help us just, after school, getting the girls started with their work when they got home, being there for them. We thought what we were getting was somebody sort of a nanny or a babysitter, but what we got was a tutor, a psychologist, a big sister. And I noticed that my peer group at the school were always fascinated how we found these young high school girls to help us. And these are kids that got out of school early. They would work 8 hours a month, 8 hours a week, making $80 a week. So approximately $300 a month, which is a lot of money. And it wasn't distracting to their schoolwork and the things that they were pursuing outside of school. So it fit in their very busy schedule. That was the first thing. But I noticed that people didn't understand how to connect to the teens. We have all of these social platforms that are different, so adults spend a lot more time on Facebook and teens spend a lot more time on Snapchat, and there's no intersection for them to sort of connect. And we have more devices to connect, but are less connected. So that was the first thing. But the real catalyst for the business, Neil, was my partner, Ronan Akiva, called me in 2015. He was really struggling with a problem because his son was about to graduate from high school. It was right before his senior year. His son was the starting varsity running back on his high school football team and a good student. In fact, he was graduating a semester early. His name is Liam. And Liam wanted to work, and Ronan, his father, wanted Liam to work. So he sent Liam out to look for what we would call a traditional part-time job in a retail store. And this particular retail store was hiring 200 applicants for a retail sales job. And it wasn't like, it was just an hourly job. 4 of the 5 applicants that they hired were well over the age of 20. And the 5th was Liam. It was lucky that they actually hired him as a teenager. Only when he got the job, he called his dad and said, "Dad, I want to work and you want me to work, but this isn't going to work because they want me to work 4 and 5 hours at a time on days that I can't necessarily choose. And I'm not going to last very long." And so he challenged his dad, who's a technologist, and really saying, "Dad, adults have all of these options now to work on their terms, but why is there nothing for teens?" And so that's how we were challenged, and we took Liam's challenge seriously because we saw it as not only an opportunity to solve our own problems, but knew all of our peers would want that for their kids.
So what kind of gigs can teens sign up for with Skratch? And also, what are the most popular ones on the platform at the moment?
Yeah, so it's great. We started, the real challenge here is, teens aren't working for a variety of reasons, but what we understood is that they're good at a lot of things. So we try to set them up for things that they could be safe and successful at early. But the truth of the matter is we always knew when we started this that we like to call the things that are on the platform now sort of the gateway gigs. We wanted to see how they responded to sort of we call them non-professional. So you're not going to get a teen to paint a fence, but more likely they do a lot of tutoring. They do a lot of things with younger kids, sports mentoring, creative arts, things that they're good at that they can share with a younger child in another family. The things that have been really most popular, though, are teens doing a lot of events, short term where somebody needs a teen for 3 or 4 hours. We see a lot, and actually this was one of the things we were most excited about, of adults using teens for their technical expertise. So we have teens showing people how to use their mobile devices, hooking up their entertainment systems and complex audio stuff at home, and teens are excellent at that. And then recently we've added to the platform a create your own gig. So now users of the platform are able to come in and suggest things, and as long as it's safe and successful, we're taking that crowdsource approach to determining, because we know there's a lot more things that they can do in a neighborhood setting. And then ultimately the plan is, because we're connecting to them in this way, we think a lot of commercial businesses will get back to using teenagers, because frankly that's one of the challenges, is it's disappeared. But with an easy to connect a situation like we've created, we think people will start to reconsider using teens again.
I'm so happy you mentioned the technical skills aspect there as well, because I read on a forum recently, there's been a lot of videos doing the rounds on the internet of teens where they've been given like a record player, a VCR, how to darn a sock, and all these kind of things. And old guys are just laughing, saying, "Oh yeah, how come you didn't know how to use that, and how come you didn't know how to do that?" But the fact is, that is not their world. It never was, and it never will be. But when their internet goes wrong, or when somebody's internet goes wrong, or when the laptop breaks down, or the tablet freezes, it's the teenagers that you turn to, because that's their expertise. That's what their place in the world now, isn't it? So it's a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's what's been really compelling is that some statistics say that 55% of neighbors don't have any regular communication, right? So we rely on social media to connect. So people don't really know what their teen neighbors are good at anymore. Yeah. Nobody's borrowing a cup of sugar like it used to be. So you don't really interact. And so you don't know whether the teen is amazing at drawing or could be really awesome at a manual skill that you can't do. And the thing I've enjoyed most is the fact that you're finding young teens in a neighborhood, bringing neighborhoods together because they're helping out potentially older adults. Maybe they have issues with health or otherwise, and we find teens doing some of that stuff too, which is really great.
And am I right in saying that you're also partnering with some organizations too?
Yeah, we are. We have found that a lot of organizations are starting to take notice to what we're doing, and more and more every day. We're working with some local nonprofits to help their causes, and then we're starting to work with traditional employers who are starting to investigate the potential for using it. Because quite honestly, it creates efficiencies. Not having to schedule a teen far in advance for certain situations is better, and not having them on the books and the payroll the way that you would traditionally have to guarantee a shift. You may only need somebody for a couple hours, but that has been the issue, is that being able to connect for those types of needs hasn't been there before.
Now, I love the concept that teens sign up, select a gig, accept it when their schedule allows, and I think it's great that they can earn a little cash by getting paid through the app and establish a long-running work history, because these are all essential life skills. And I hate the fact that I have to bring this up, and as a father of 2 daughters, you're going to know this more than most, but there are a few shady people out there who could be tempted to use a platform such as this to take advantage of kids. So how do you keep people like that off the platform and protect the users?
Yeah, look, it's probably one of the things that you're right in saying we're most proud of. I always knew that I needed to be able to sleep at night and feel good about that I was setting kids to be successful, but more importantly, safe.
Yeah.
And the barometer I use is if I wouldn't allow my own kids to do it, well then, and that's how I always try to pass it through that. Now, that being said, we know that there's some people who are just frankly scared of the world today, and we understand that. But there's the other side of this, which is they want and they need an opportunity for their kids. So what we basically built, and I think that's the best part of the app, is that if you're under the age of 18 as a teenager, you can't even participate without the consent of your parent. So mom and dad have to know you have to approve you and accept the terms of use. But it goes a step further. Mom and dad know about every single activity that you are going to do on the platform, where you're going, how much you're earning, right? So not only do they know from a safety perspective, but they also know because you can have a real financial literacy conversation at that point. But beyond that, we currently are using our state's database. And there are federal databases which we will use as we grow to screen all users in real time for status of sex offender registry. So people are flagged if there is anything that is suspicious or it doesn't look right. A user can't proceed with their experience on the platform until we have approved it. And then, of course, there's a lot of features, and we encourage people always, whether it's with our app or any app, there's a lot of safety features that the iPhone and Android come with. For example, Find My iPhone is something every parent should use if they're worried about where their kid is going to be. And so we really try to talk about that and make sure that people use common sense. But as we grow forward, the thing that really makes our app special is that we have a matching algorithm. So likely you can and we can create a situation where you only select certain kids that you know, or maybe it's through your school or through your religious organization. We can create work ecosystems. So regardless of where you are on the trust spectrum, the app is built to be able to adjust and scale to meet that need, because we know safety is critical and we want to make sure that we're doing it right every time.
Now, I always say that technology works best when it brings people together. So, I mean, you kind of hinted at this a few moments ago, but are you finding that the Skratch neighbours and the local community are using this latest technology to connect once again and checking off those to-do lists with the help of their teen next door, much like they did when we were growing up?
Yeah, I love that you say that, because I think that's what's you mentioned safety, and the days of somebody ringing your doorbell and saying I can provide this or that service are gone. Yeah. And I liken it to, they used to leave a flyer on the door, but now nobody talks to their neighbors, and so we are finding that, and we are finding that people are sharing when they found a great resource, because quite frankly, we could all use a little bit of help, and who better to provide that and than a young person who's willing and ambitious. And on the other side, the thing I think that is a crazy but incredible byproduct is the relationships that are beyond the money, right? Which is the early networking and empowerment and confidence building that a young person gets for being counted on. So it's really, truly, we hear all the time, a win-win for everybody. People feel really good about it. And the thing that has been most eye-opening for me is I think the expectation, because it's been such a long time that teens have been declining working, that people's expectations are lower for teens than they should be. So they're almost completely surprised when the teens show up and do an amazing job, and that's great for everybody.
Fantastic. So for any teens listening, or even any parents listening that want to tell their teens about it, where is Skratch available? And are there any expansion plans to move outside of that area as well?
Yeah, look, I'm based in Dallas, Texas, and we knew that we wanted, to your point, safety was everything. So we study every single transaction and have been since the day we started. We talk to every single user so that we can, make sure that the platform is the very best it can be. We do have plans to expand as people have discovered. We are currently in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then I would say in the next year or so, you'll start to see some rapid expansion for the platform. We are currently available on iOS only, but our Android is under construction and should be available as well. And once that's done, then we'll rapidly expand.
Excellent. So what's your grand vision for Skratch? How do you see this, where do you see this going?
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, especially recently, and I'm sure you've heard this, talk about these types of platforms as the Uber of this and the Uber of that. Yeah. And I have been very specific that we do not want to be the Uber of teen work. Our grand vision is that we create a platform that allows young people to get first work, and I think becomes really the way that we staff young people in the future. I think that I could see the platform being made available at schools, but we see ourselves working with organizations like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and with things like Junior Achievement. These are legacy organizations who all care about young people, and more importantly, care about building professional skills and financial literacy. But we see our tool as the kind of the hammer in the toolbox that has been missing for so many of these conversations, because there haven't been viable opportunities to earn. And so we see us as that, and we see a time where employers will once again have no choice, because with the rising minimum wage that's happening, there's going to be a necessity for a deeper, more productive workforce. And the teens have done this historically. We just need a better way to reach them today. So I see that being what we are in society.
Well, before I do let you go, can I just ask that you remind the listeners of how they can download Skratch, visit your website, or even contact a member of your team if they've got any questions about anything that we've covered today?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me and the great questions. Really enjoyed it. A couple of ways that you can find out more information is on our website. It's at Skratch, and that's Skratch with a K, skratch.co. You can find us on all of the social platforms at Get Skratch, so GET and then Skratch with a K. And then if you want to reach out to us, feel free to send us a note at support@skratch.co. And we love questions. We love people who are interested. We are always happy to talk to anybody that's intrigued about what we're doing, and just love to have as many people test the platform and see the benefits. We like to say, when you learn about Skratch, you learn about the power of teens. So we hope your listeners will get to experience it.
Love it. I absolutely love the concept of Skratch and the heart behind it, because it's come from a fantastic place. And I think we both come from a time where kids or adults were not suspicious of each other, and communities actually helped each other out. And that's something that I think we could all see more of. And like I said earlier, technology works best when it brings people together, and that's what you're doing. So a big thank you for sharing that story with us today.
Thank you, Neil, for having me.
I think it was great to hear Skratch's story today and fully understand a father's why. And I hope you agree that this Dallas, Texas startup app is something that's really worth sharing. But hey, what are your initial thoughts? As always, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. Send me a quick email to techblogwriter@outlook.com, or equally go over to my website, techblogwriter.co.uk/podcast, where you'll be able to leave a voicemail question or listen to any of the podcast episodes. Now, I'm off to put the tech down one last time and head out to the Rockies here in Colorado, but I will return tomorrow, I promise. So until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.